Gundam.tk presents 1/100th Neo Gundam. Hey, what's up again everybody? Robert184, 2Rs2Bs from GundamReviews.net, and I'm continuing my look at the Neo Gundam Tokyo Randall's second lead from, yes, Mobile Suit Gundam Silhouette Formula 91 in UC0123. So let's get on to the mobile suit. So there it is, with the core fighter in, we have the RX Wayne Gretzky, the Neo Gundam. And I have to say that my first impression is just that this is going to be a very colorful and very deckled up Gundam, which is the kind of thing that you have control over, because it's just a question at the end of the day of how many of these you want to bother to put on. I'd say some look good and add to it, and some may take away a little bit from it. But overall, I'd say that it is a very cool looking classic Gundam with the red feet and the white body. The blue chest is looking pretty good, and it's cool to have all 5 of the colors, and I'm counting the gray seal there on the chest part there, not to mention the parts that's written around it. But it's the fact that it's got that little bit of asymmetry there with the AFX on the left side to go along with the big shield generator there. Remember that you've got the option, this is the smaller of the two. And I'd say that the core fighter is somewhat disappointing because no matter what angle you look at it from, you're not really going to see the wings, even though they do give you the option to bend them out into different ways. You're not really going to see them, but overall I'd say that the looks are positive. But you can imagine that with this being a 1992 kit that's not going to apply to the posability. First of all, the skirts are independent, but you're only going to be able to bring the legs forward this much and off to the side because they are on just the solid hip joint there with the polycap. You're not going to get more than that. The knees are only going to give you a 90, although the ankles are going to give you a surprisingly good range. The waist section is going to rotate around about that much, although it's going to feel very, very loose, and it just feels like you're just wrecking that polycap there on the inside if you're going to go ahead and do that. That was the front part there of the waist section. In terms of the arms, though, they're going to go around, and if you just bend the wings of the core fighter out of the way, that'll be okay. The shoulders here are going to move ever so slightly. They're just on a small attachment point where you pop the arm into the shoulder before plugging the shoulder with the polycap in there, so this isn't actually attached onto anything outside of the forearm. Remember though that you're only going to get a 70-degree bend there, and the fingers are hardly going to move. But on the plus side, you are going to be able to move these beam sabers though, sometimes at good angles, sometimes at bad ones, but you can actually make it look pretty dynamic there. The head is just going to go around there, and it's on a polycap, so it will allow you to go up and down, and these can go all the way back 90 degrees. Arming this guy up involves putting the GBRD into the hand here with the 3-finger trigger finger split, and just opening this and putting it underneath, as well as taking this part off, and you can just swap it with this one here with the shield, which is going to lead itself, or you'll see in a moment, a very clear problem. Now armed up, he's going to be a lot more filled out, although the immediate problem here with the shield is just the fact that because you've got these big shoulders there, you're only going to be able to have it resting at that angle. There's really nothing more you can do unless you want to put it actually parallel to the ground. The GBRD is going to fit into the hand, although don't expect too much out of it. The 3-finger trigger finger split is enough to get it in there, and you've got that solid thumb, which is actually going to help keep it in place. This gray part doesn't seem to be doing too much down below, but the forearm isn't going to fit in there all that well, so really don't expect too much in terms of posing, except for what you're seeing here. For the MS height comparison, here you've got the first Gundam, the first lead of the blah 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 long name manga there, in the Silhouette Gundam there on the right, compared to the Neo Gundam here on the left. And I'm going to say that both of them are looking a little bit gaudy, but this one actually seems to be just a little bit more understated, surprisingly, compared to this one. Partly just because this one is going to have a lot more colors in the chest as opposed to the more plain one over there. And overall, just having the writing on only the one side is just going to make this one just seem a little bit cleaner overall. In terms of the legs, they're all going to be deckled up, with this one just having a little bit more yellow and more noticeable black parts down there. But the head up here, the double V-fin certainly does it for me. I think the Silhouette Gundam is going to take the edge there. Although for the overall head design, this one just has 4 little tick marks there, whereas this one seems to have a more interesting one. And in terms of the shield, that's going to be very subjective as to which one you like better. I think I like this one just in terms of you've still got the classic cross on there with the pink parts top and bottom. So it's going to be a little bit more interesting than just the standard beam shield. But the GBRD is looking pretty good, even without those blue color apps. But then again, who doesn't love these kind of F91 under the hip kind of weapons? But what a difference a few years can make just in terms of design. This here is the F90 1/100th non-grade from, yes, 1990, and this has all sorts of weapons attached onto it. This is its full equipped mode. But anyway, I would say that certainly this one is just looking better in terms of size, proportions, molding, everything about this one, especially if you move in and look at the heads. The Neo is certainly going to be doing better than the old derpy F90 over there. But for a more modern comparison, this is the 1/100th Master Grade 00 Gundam 7 sword over here, and you can see, as is befitting a late Universal Century kit, that this one is going to be very tiny, a la the Victory and the F91 and the Crossbone, whereas the 00 Gundam is just going to tower over it, especially when you take the MSV and add on that big sword. And even the RX-78-2 Granddaddy is going to tower over him, especially when he's last shooting. In terms of posing, you're going to have to be a little bit careful here because the GBRD is going to run into those wings, so having them back at 90-degree angles is probably going to help. You can twist that shield to make a little bit dynamic, and the legs, yes, because the ankles can move well, it can look okay. The old across the body pose is going to have a little bit more of a solid feel to it, although surprisingly there have been no weight issues at all despite the size and weight of that weapon. Here's some last shooting of its own, and I'm actually surprised again at just how well that weapon seems to be staying in hand. The backpack wings are actually showing up a little bit better, especially if you take off the distraction of the shield, which is going to divert pretty much anybody's eyes. So you can have them in a few dynamic poses, and the green beam sabers, I'm going to say, are going to go very good to go along with the green that's in the waist section in terms of the seals, but overall it's just going to add another nice clear effect to this kit. And the beam saber and shield combo is going to look really good, and again, one of the big pluses of that shield though just has to be the fact that you're actually going to be getting the red and the yellow color wraps there on the front and on the sides, even though you're not really going to see it when it's in hand. And when you attach this on, you are going to have 2 points of attachment there, one in the front, one in the back, so you're going to have a very solid fit. And I don't know how many people would display it this way, but this core fighter is actually one of the more interesting ones that I think we've ever seen. Combined with the GBRD, and you've just got a massive looking jet kind of there with a whole bunch of weapon. And the Neo Gundam, it's strong enough to stand on its own with just the beam sabers and shield in hand thanks to its cool colors overall. So this is actually something that I may display in this form, which is something that I wouldn't normally do with a Gundam and a core fighter unless it's something like the RX-78-2 and you don't even need to insert it. And if you saw some of my blacklight videos, including the Silhouette Gundam, you can guess what's coming here. Yes, this is with 2 lights anyway, and even from a fair distance away, you can see that these 2 guys are just going to light up and be a fantastic combo. The white is certainly going to be bright on both of them. The Silhouette's only going to have the shield light up, whereas with the Neo Gundam, you're going to have the beam sabers. You could have 2 in each hand, and if you can make it out there, yes, the eyes glow as well when they come around. The silver part underneath is going to be a little bit helpful, I suppose, but it's going to be even more so. There's the Silhouette too, when you've got just that proper green plastic. So that's going to wrap up my look at the mobile suit mode of the Neo Gundam RX-99, but why don't you let me know what you think with a comment down below, and I'll be back with a comprehensive list, well, of anyway, all the good and bad things that I could think of this kit, so then you can make a decision whether this old school kit from 1992 that's a little bit obscure is something you want to add to your collection. Anyway, everybody, always love to hear from you, so please let me know down below, and we'll see you next time. Bye. Sometimes when you look at these boxes, you'd think that these MSs were going to jail for something.